Hello there, YouTube internet world. This is Matt Orozco from Macabre Daily.
And this is Lowell Greenblat, also Macabre Daily.
Oh, it's amazing. It is that time of the month again. And no, I do not mean the time to check your expiration dates. It is in fact Macabre monthly time. Lowell, I have missed you. Being in Ohio, I don't know where the weirdos are yet, and I miss the New York weird.
Be careful, because Midwest weirdos are different than East Coast weirdos, which are different from West Coast weirdos. But I feel like weirdos in Ohio right now are a special kind of different. So, it takes some getting used to, but I hope you'll get used to it without getting into QAnon. That's my hope for you.
I don't think that's on the horizon, but I am going to see Guar, which is something that I meant to do back in high school when they played and the Misfits opened for them. This is when Michael Graves was the singer, which he might have been a dickhead, but he was a damn good singer. So, and I might even go so far as to say he had a better voice than Danzig, even though Danzig had the better hits. But I'm just going to put that hot take in the freezer for a bit. Because I'm going to see Guar, and I'm super stoked on seeing Guar. So there is the horror cultures here. I just got to go find it.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah, I feel like we all wanted to see Guar in high school, at least for a second, when we saw Empire Records. But they have a new documentary coming out. I think it's called "This Is Guar" on Shudder. No, it is out today.
That's out.
So yeah, I'm gonna check that out later.
Yeah, I definitely feel the Empire Records reference. I mean, who didn't want to be Mark with his extra sugar brownies and his affection for selling with a C, not a K?
By the way, I bought this at New York Comic Con. It's literally, I could have made this myself, but I got it at like a stand. My name's Warren. I work here. Yeah.
Good old Warren. While we're on topic, Rucking Fountain, Curtis Benzu put together this little ditty here. They recently did a release of Empire Records, and in my package was a guitar pick. Yeah, so you know what? We're a horror podcast, but we appreciate the classics and our podcast, whatever the fuck we call this. But we're a horror show, and good movies are good movies. So damn the man, save the Empire. Yep,
that's right.
I can't believe I tied that in there, because that was not planned. But you know what? Somewhere it's Rex Manning Day. So I'm going to move on before I dig this hole so deep I can't get out.
Yeah.
Lowell, what have you been watching? What's kind of new in your Blu-ray 4K theater world?
Well, I did just get the Evil Dead Groovy collection, which is the first two Evil Dead movies in 4K, and Ash vs. Evil Dead, the entire series in Blu-ray. And I mean, like most horror fans, I have double dipped into Evil Dead so many times. And the last time was going to be the last time. No, don't count. It's going to hurt. Don't do it.
When you're done, I'll tell you why this hurts more.
It's into the four figures now. It's got to be adjusted for inflation. But so I have it on 4K. They look great. They're still the same Evil Dead movies. And I wasn't going to do this, but then Scream Factory said that they were releasing the Evil Dead remake unrated in 4K and Army of Darkness in 4K. And of course, I already have those on Blu-ray, but I'm like, it's not a long series. Let me just upgrade the series. Let me get a sweet Army of Darkness poster of the original poster art that I could frame, and put on my wall. So I don't even know what special features are out for it yet, but yeah, they have my money, just like they have my money for the first three Child's Plays. Can't believe I'm going to own Child's Play 3 on 4K, but
you'll grow to love it. You'll grow to love it. I'm telling you. I mean, I think so. I am such a shill for a cool packaging that so Anchor Bay was my first VHS of Evil Dead. And then there was a special edition Evil Dead that came out in like a gray hard shell, like a clamshell case. I got that. Then there was one DVD, and then one Blu-ray, and then I had a 4K, but then I bought that Groovy collection too. So I got rid of the old 4K to get the because it's in the Groovy collection. And don't even start Army of Darkness, like all the various cuts on DVD that thing got, which were great. But yeah, I hear you. That franchise always has my money. In fact, all the great horror franchises will likely always get my dollar, except I haven't succumbed to the Halloween 4Ks yet because I just get the sense there's a box set on the horizon, but I don't know anything. It's just an opinion.
I have the first two Halloweens in 4K, and that's all I need in 4K. I've got the box set. You can probably see behind me the limited edition one that came out with, you know, the making of documentaries, which I'm sure you can now see on YouTube. But it's the last Halloween box set I will ever have to buy, and you know, I'll check out the first and second one on 4K. I'd love to have those on 4K. I do not need Halloween 5 on 4K. I don't need 6 on 4K. I don't need 4. I'm good. I got them on Blu-ray. It's fine.
I know what I'm getting you for the holidays. I'm just saying.
You're getting me credit at the archive. Thank you. I appreciate that. Bridgeport, Connecticut's wonderful, wonderful Vinegar Syndrome store, as I call it.
It's a beauty. It's a beauty.
Yeah. So what else have I watched? Can you hear me okay, by the way?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Any other noise in the background? I'm like,
no, just the scream and suffering of all the people in Cleveland, Ohio around it. I'm just kidding.
Oh, I can't hear it. Okay, good. This iPad is great. I rewatched I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I still know what you did last summer. I find now when I rewatch them both, not that third one, which I'm so dismissive of the third one, and yet I watched the second one, or even the first one. Like, none of them are great, but there's fun to be had. They're going to release a 25th anniversary edition of I Know What You Did Last Summer on 4K, so I'm going to pick that up. But I'm not doing that for I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, because that movie's not good. But I found I liked it a little bit more in just how nuts it is. Like not quite cameos, but like glorified cameos from Jeffrey Combs and Jack Black, who die in crazy ways. And it's got that kind of cool setting of like a semi-abandoned like tropical resort that the fisherman stalking them at, and the device of Ray, the Freddie Prinze Jr. character, coming to try and save his girlfriend. I'm like, sounds like there could have been something here, but it's a sequel to I Know What You Did Last Summer that doesn't involve Kevin Williamson, who I think pretty much just wrote it because they were like, hey, Scream's big. We got the rights to this. You want a pile of money? And, you know, and
we got this Christopher Pike script that's just hanging out. Let's make it into a
Lowest
movie.
Duncan.
Yeah.
Lowest Duncan. Don't cross the streams, buddy. Yeah. So, but you know, those are fun summertime movies. I know we just talked about. I Know We Did Last Summer, not too long ago.
But somehow you just sold me on the sequel. I don't know how you did this, but now I'm gonna go watch the sequel for some reason. But you know what? I think the third one doesn't get enough recognition, and I haven't seen it. It's because the title sounds like one of those spoof movies. It's like, I Still Kind of Know What You Did Last Summer. I'm like, what? Like, this sounds like a scary movie ripoff.
Kind of one of those spoof movies. It really is. It's got the fisherman, but it's set in a Colorado town. Like, who's fishing in Colorado? And there's a lot of new metal and quick cuts, and it's just garbage. But that second one, very watchable. They do what they can. What else did I watch? I watched Good Madam on Shudder, South African horror movie. Just came out. Didn't really like it. I appreciated some of the things they were going for, but there are huge plot holes that I think I was supposed to interpret, and maybe I just couldn't because I'm not that smart. But and you know, it's got a lot of social context, and you know, some messaging about apartheid and slavery. It's a very fertile ground for horror movies. But like, I don't want to ruin anything, but there's a bit about how the evil plan, as it were, is for people to, when they die, they're enslaved to someone in the afterlife, but like that someone's not dead yet. And it's like, wait a minute, you're just stocking up on slaves while you're still alive? What are they doing down there? Are they prepping the hell cabana? And I don't know. Maybe someone can explain it better to me, but I was just kind of left me a little cold. But I like to see what else the director does.
Had a vision, didn't work out, kind of thing.
Yeah, not for me. Other people's mileage may be.
Fair. Anything else you'd watch, or is that the cream of the crop?
That's the long and short of it. I bought Collateral 4K, which I don't know why I didn't have that, but still a great movie. Tom Cruise and all.
Michael Mann, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. Oh, and I don't think we did the last one in June, right? Because it's Macabre Monthly. I know time. I did finish Stranger Things, which Same. I like. It's a great show. Like the hot topic of it all and the member berries of it all kind of get in the way because there people are like, oh, it's 80s nostalgia weaponized, but like you take it away, it's a great show. Like it's well written, it's well conceived, it's well acted, and this season was a little all over the place, but I don't think there's been a bad season of that show, and I'm really curious to see what's going to happen next season. I kind of have some tinfoil hat theories as to where it could go, but yeah, I'm there. I'm with it. Let's milk that cow just the right amount, Netflix.
Yeah, let's keep those duffers duffing. I mean, I feel like the second season was very underwhelming, but I also feel like it kind of corrected towards the end. It just kind of got off to this, like they tried something by going this almost episodic route and trying to make this kind of a more of a kind of like teen espionage kind of thing, with like some sort of secret society of like superpowered people. I think they took a risk in second season. I give them a lot of credit for correcting in the third, because the third was just like right back where we started, to the saccharine of like nostalgia.
Yeah.
I finished this season as well, but I have issues with Stranger Things because it takes up too much of my fucking time. Like a 2.5 hour fucking finale. That's a movie. That's not a show. And it was great. Like it didn't feel like 2.5 hours. Like I'm not even complaining about the quality of the content, but there is a economy of storytelling that goes totally out the window due to the model that Netflix and other streaming services, aside from Shudder, abide by, which is they want to keep you plugged in to this shit, as long as possible so you don't change the channel. It's the old cable tactics, right? But like, as good as it is, one of the things that I think makes it somewhat difficult for me to enjoy entirely, I envy my wife, right? Because she looks at it and she's like, does not see the references that they're making and how many of them they're making, to the extent where you start to feel like it's almost ruined because you're thinking too. And I'm not saying it's bad. Again, I'm being constructive here, but one example is
down my throat, like.
Yes, like, I get what you're doing. Like the whole when Vecna appeared, that's right out of Elm Street when Freddy shows up. Like it's very obvious.
A whole season was Elm Street-esque, but yeah.
And like that can be a bit grating, like you said. Like it can get, a bit overwhelming and like take it away from the point. But credit to them for like also doing what Steven Spielberg did so well, which is making child characters who you actually care about and who feel real. Like the dude who played Eddie Munson. I mean, I'm usually the kind of person who's like, the hype's the hype. I'm not going to try and get confident. And that's not because I'm better than anybody. It's just because I'm
going to annoy me real quick. Like in the first episode, him getting up on the table, I'm like, I don't know, Stranger Things, what's going to happen here? But like, yeah, fucking Eddie Munson forever.
And the Master of Puppets thing, like I totally get, like that's badass. Yeah. Like that's, I love that they are so obvious with their references. Sometimes though, it just gets to be like, okay, I get it. Like I get it. You grew up around when I grew up and we all see these things, but I do love that younger folks not that we're that old, but just, non-millennial, like Gen Z, let's say, like their exposure to this is causing them to look at music that they wouldn't have. And I saw a great meme that it's like, how can I judge someone for liking Kate Bush from Stranger Things when I entire my
Tony Hawk too.
Tony Hawk too. Yeah. Like, I mean, even the first Pro Skater, like when I heard Superman by Goldfinger, I'm like, damn, I want to keep replaying this level if that's gonna song to keep playing. Then I figured out you can actually change the song yourself. So
or Police Dead Kennedys. Yeah. But I mean, stuff like the Master of Puppets thing, like that, and the last season's Never Ending Story scene. I feel like in other shows, in like almost any other show, you'd roll your eyes and groan. But for some reason, like it lands with Stranger Things. Like it works. Those moments are like earned. I don't know where the electricity is coming in Stranger Things. I believe they have it. There's some kind of energy there. But yeah, I'm like, all right. It doesn't take away from it for me. I'm still totally invested in the characters. Yeah. And they don't explain every little thing, but like with the information they dole out, I always know what's going on or what they're alluding at. Like, and when they add mythology, it all works.
Yeah.
Like the backstory of like Vecna and what happened to the Upside Down, like that's, yeah, cool. Like, and just the cast is always great. Like there are no bad additions in my opinion. It's just cool. Keep it coming.
Well engineered television, like it is, and I full credit to them. So I know they're going to keep making them. My personal opinion is that once you get past 5 seasons, it's diminishing returns. But what?
Next is going to be the last.
Oh,
they said it's going to be the last. So I'm like, yeah, fucking grab what you can from the buffet and leave. Like it's fine. Yeah.
Well, I would love I would love for them to channel this into another property just to see what else they're thinking of, because when you set something this creative and rich and world building wise, just imagine what you learn through the process that will elevate your next project, right? So I'm excited and I'll support what they do, full stop. So I got a few.
Cool.
Hell High. Thanks to our good friends at MVD Entertainment, I've been able to consistently review a lot of the Arrow releases. And one of them that I recently did was Hell High, which is a 1989 kind of slasher that flips the old school slasher on its head a bit by making it about students that pursue a teacher. This is kind of like a Lifetime movie that was made by an exploitation director, is the best way to describe it. It is so melodramatic, and then it just totally goes absurd, like an audacious in the back half. And there's moments where you think, oh, I know what's going to happen next, and like it doesn't happen what you think, and not in like oh, that's totally new and novel. It's like, oh, I didn't even realize that was a choice. Like I didn't know that. Like there's a part where as a kid has his teacher like pushed up against the bed, and then his female friend comes in. She's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, he's obviously gonna sexually, what's the fucking word I'm looking for?
Assault her.
Assault, yeah, assault. And like you think she's come in to stop this, but she actually just goes and makes out with the teacher. I'm like, what the hell is this? And then it just goes off the rails. So, and I say like it surprised me. It's more like, oh, I didn't realize that was a narrative choice we could make here, or that none of it feels like how people actually act. So anyway, it's kind of fun. Mileage will vary as always with these kinds of releases, but if you consider yourself a slasher kind of purist and completist, you should absolutely consider this to your stack and check it out. I'm going to spill the beans on one movie that's not going to make our list today around prequels, which if we haven't mentioned it, that's what we're talking about today is our top 5 horror prequels. And I know there's one that
I hate it and I regret it so hard, but we'll get to that later.
Hey, listen, I found this to be a really helpful exercise. So yes, we will get to that. But one that didn't make my list, but I do want to tell you about is Leatherface. Holy shit.
You liked it?
No, not at all.
Okay. I mean, there is some stuff to like, but like it's buried under a lot of shit. Anyway,
No, like
go.
it's the same thing we've talked about with Rob Zombie's Halloween. If it wasn't Halloween, it was just Rob Zombie slasher movie, it would be a great slasher. If this was not a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, it wouldn't be that great, that much better, but it wouldn't be worse because of it. And in this case, like I'm supposed to believe that Leatherface, I'm not even forget what they call him, Ted something or something like that.
Jed.
Fucking Jed. Like he's supposed to be some lovable, like innocent.
Well,
like,
that's kind of a spoil, but
no,
yeah.
I'm spoiling this movie because fuck that movie so hard. Like fuck it hard. And I don't blame the directors for this. I don't know whose fault it is. I don't care.
No, I heard it was taken away from the directors like down the line. So I mean, it's Maury and Bustillo. They're great. They know how to make a movie like this.
Yeah, love the Deep House. Like, you know, but like I could. This is just, it was just unnecessary. And maybe that's the theme we'll get to with the prequels, is like they're just usually very unnecessary. So anyway, Leatherface, absolute garbage. Did not like it one bit. Also watched The Black Phone, which, have you seen it?
Oh, no, but it's on my list.
I'm not going to say a lot because I don't want to bias your opinion. There's plenty of good things said about it already, but I'm just going to say it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, because the trailer to me sounded like the worst idea for a movie ever. Like kids, psychic, supernatural meets slasher, like that, just those usually don't work out very well. But I'm wrong. I am so fucking wrong. And it's very well executed. And I need Ethan Hawke to play more bad guys, because holy shit. Like I know Dana, one of the contributors for our site, she wrote a great review about it. And I absolutely agree, the kids were great. But Ethan Hawke like continues to surprise me with his ability to totally break out of what you think he's going to do. It's like, I've never seen Ewan McGregor do, kind of a bad guy before, but I imagine maybe it'd be good. But man, Ethan Hawke, I want him to play this kind of character like all the time.
Yeah. Did you see Birds of Prey? The Harley Quinn movie?
Oh yeah, I guess he was really bad. Well, I like the movie, but not him.
It's funny. I liked him more than the movie because I thought he's just having fun, hamming it up like crazy. Like he was one of the best parts, with one of the best death scenes in any movie that just had me howling. But
I need to go back and watch it because I saw it in the theaters, and that was the only time. Well, I own it, so it's no cost to me at that point. I'm a shill for collecting.
Check it out. It's an interesting exercise. But yeah, I heard he's really good. I read the short story. I'm just like, I hear it's really good, but like, kids in peril, psychic things that aren't really explained. I'm like, I'll get around to it, but love Scott Derrickson and Cargill. So, I imagine it'll be on the slate coming soon.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, and my wife loved it, which is always the good litmus test of, is this something that, I can understand why it's getting such rave reviews broadly, because, she is my barometer to know, is something popular for the masses or not, because I can't be a good judge of that anymore because I have too many Vinegar Syndrome movies. So anyway, that's about the extent of what I've watched, aside from a shit ton of prequels, because I don't know about you. We'll get to our prequels in a moment, but I had not realized I had not seen very many of them, even though I own quite a few of them. I'd only seen a handful of the ones that I actually ended up watching. So anyway, as people may or may not know, we happen to be part of a website called Macabre Daily. I know this is a shocker. This is a surprise. Yay. And
it's in our...
No, not at all. And as we are recording this, our editor is at San Diego Comic-Con. So pray for him and all the smells he will encounter there. But yeah. Cheers to that, because I just got over COVID, and while it was mild, I would not recommend it to anyone if you can avoid it. So we got some news to talk about. I want to start with the thing that set the internet a tizzy, as most Rob Zombie movies do. The Munsters trailer. Did you watch the trailer for the Munsters?
Yeah. Listen, I've never been a big Munsters fan, but the trailer reminded me of what I think of modern day Kevin Smith, where like, I don't know if it's for me, but good for him, because he seems to be doing what he wants to be doing, hamming it up, having fun. It looks, how do I say this? At first, it kind of looked like a Funny or Die sketch, but as it went on, I'm like, okay, he's doing a love story. It looks like it's going to be earnest and kooky at the same time. I'm definitely going to see it. I mean, I see all of Rob Zombie's movies, and for him doing what is basically a romantic comedy, like, I'm really curious. So I don't think it would be better than the Addams Family by a country mile. But let's see what's up your sleeves, Rob. Because what?
I mean,
what?
I watched the trailer and like, listen, I don't really care. Like, the Munsters aren't that important to me, where I'm personally offended that it's done a certain way. So I think a lot of people probably feel the same way. They just don't want to admit that they don't care. They don't actually give a shit. They just like to drag people through mud. And this is not a defense of Rob Zombie. It is a defense of Rob Zombie, because you know what? That guy's making movies. Nobody else is. And while it does look silly, you know, the part that unfortunately I hate to say this, because I don't like to drag Sherry through the mud very much, because I think she gets unfairly maligned just because she's married to Rob, and you know, he casts her, and like, who would fault him? You might do the same if you were married to, if you loved your wife that much, you know, who cares? But
I like her, but yeah,
I like her too, and like, but I don't like her in this movie. Like, what I saw in this trailer did not, like, it didn't feel like it was her. Like, it just felt almost kind of too hammy. And same with the Jeff Daniel Phillips as Herman. I just didn't see it. And maybe it's because Fred Gwynn left such an impression on Herman Munster that it's hard to see past it. But you know, who's the guy that what's his name? Daniel Roebuck nailed Grandpa. Like, he's great. So I don't know. I'm gonna give it a shot, just like you will. It's on Netflix. We're gonna see it for free, or not for free, but subscription wise. And you know what? I hope it does well. I hope it gets some new audience that the horror fans can be like, you know, cry in their corner themselves. Which have we?
Yeah.
You know,
And I hope it's good. I hope all movies are good.
Yeah, no one. I don't wish it to be bad, but you know what? Listen, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Just like assholes, they all stink. So, Glorious. I saw you just recently posted this. Like, what is Glorious? This came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah, it's the new movie from Rebecca McKendry that was co-written with her husband and Todd Rigney and Josh Hull. It's coming to Shudder next month. I've heard about it previously, but I didn't know it was coming out that quickly. But cool. It looks like I described it as like Lovecraftian single location, because which you know is kind of becoming a Shudder genre these days, which is fun because the returns are definitely not diminishing. But from what I gather, it's about, and I mean, the teaser was just 15 seconds long, which if we talk about the Halloween trailer later, I can get back to. But a guy, Ryan Quanten, was just broken up with, and he's in a rest stop bathroom, and he starts talking to a disembodied voice, voiced by J.K. Simmons, and some crazy Lovecraftian shit happens. And I don't need any more than that. I'm in.
Sold.
I'm in. Yeah, like that's cool. And you know, it looks like there's some budget in the teaser that we saw. So yeah, hell yeah, I want to see Rebecca McKendry do a fucking Lovecraftian movie for Shudder. That sounds like a slam dunk to me.
Yeah, I'm all in. I mean, I read the press release around Rebecca McKendry's involvement, and like that's all I really need to know. Because even though I didn't love the holiday anthology she did, you know what? I'm glad she's doing it.
Yeah.
I want that. You know, I want to see the people that we admire doing great things and following that path. And you know, when I saw this as well about this Paranormal Activity box set. I am a sucker for a box set. but I don't know if I'm going to get this one. I'll come back to Paranormal Activity, in a bit, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I love these movies that much, and I just don't think it's because supernatural movies aren't for me. But this box set looks pretty dope, and
It really does look good.
yeah,
Yeah.
if it was 4K, I actually might consider, only because I am just that my illogical logic is just that, where I will show. I bought all the Resident Evil movies in 4K, but if they would have, but they had them on Blu-ray before. But you know what? I just needed it, so I don't know. That looks cool though.
It does. I thought about getting it for a hot second, but then I'm like, no, how often am I going to rewatch them?
If it goes down to like price, like sale price or something, like under $70, you know what?
Yeah, that's kind of a steal.
It's actually, it is, whoa.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Right.
All right.
Seriously.
I'm going to get out of this because this is not going to bode well. Because I'll probably end up buying something on this recording. All right.
When I think, just real quick, when I think of the sheer number of 4Ks and Blu-rays that are coming to my door this fall, between Child's Play, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Evil Dead, Multiverse of Madness, the Scream 2 4K, which I knew they were going to put out. I'm glad I didn't buy that Blu-ray.
Give us a box set, you cowards.
No, I don't need one. I'm good. I just 1, 2, that new one. That's it. That's all I need. Maybe the one after that is coming out in March. Who knows? But anyway, continue.
Yeah. I'm just still saying, give us a Scream box set, you fucking cowards. But all right. I don't even know if we need to talk about anything else as far as these other news stories are concerned. So yeah, I'm just going to get out of here, because we're going to stop here for a moment, and we're going to sit in this parking lot of overinflated expectations for a minute. What was your reaction to this trailer? And I hate this whole trailer reaction shit, but like, we should really talk about this because they need to earn our trust back. Sound like a dickhead.
I wish there was more footage. When I saw it on Instagram, I thought maybe it was just like the trailer for the trailers that they've been doing, which is kind of lame. But you know what? Fine. Because if you can remember, in that faraway time of 2021, when the Halloween Kills trailer dropped, can you hear okay?
Yeah.
You just hear me? You don't hear anything else? Okay. Yeah. Just checking. People complained that the Halloween Kills trailer revealed too much. And I don't think they even meant it to. I think it was just like, shit. We got to put out a movie. It's ready to go. Let's get some promotion going. And I feel like with this, they're pulling it way back to be like, all right, look, you know what this movie's going to be. You know you're showing up. Let's give you a little bit of it to remind you. And that'll keep you satiated for a few months. I mean, my God, October's like 3 months away. That's crazy to me by itself. But you know what? Fine. Avengers Endgame did the same thing. They showed you nothing. They gave you no context, and it blew your fucking mind. So, I don't know what's happening in this, except they're going to fight. One or both of them will die. And then they're going to probably reboot the franchise after this one, because there's no way anyone's going to want to make a number 4 in this iteration of the franchise. But yeah, cool. I'm down.
I agree that this didn't really show that much, which I'm actually fine with. Like, I don't need a lot. But one thing that I don't know. Like, I'm really worried about, and like, not so much, like, I think the reason why they pulled back on the promotions, because I don't think they expected people to dislike Halloween Kills as much as people did. Like, and I don't think they expected it to be so divisive, because Halloween 2018 wasn't. Like, it was very well received. And the people that didn't like it were relatively few and far between. So I think when, you kind of, I don't want to say shit the bed, because people love Halloween Kills. I'm just not one of them. I think when, they did something that didn't really work, and I think this whole trilogy idea is what honestly has made this so uneven, is that, slasher movies aren't meant to be trilogy epics. Like, they're just not. They're not that dense. They're not supposed to be that dense. That's what makes them slashers, is they're kind of throwaway good times. Like, all you need is a good mask, some kills, and, that's it. Like, so in Halloween's case, it still is the reigning champion of masks, and I give them credit for making a killer Michael Myers mask that kind of adapts to what's happening around it. But yeah, you're right. Like they're just gonna fight, and like my question still remains: why the fuck do people live in Haddonfield? Like, get the fuck out of there. Like, sell your house. The market's great. Go. Like.
And why do people still live in Hawkins, Indiana? But also remember when Halloween 2018 came out, nothing happened in Haddonfield for 40 years. It was just like acclaimed. Like I figured when they showed those podcasters like showing up for the 40th anniversary, there'd be some like big media hype event like in Scream. But no, it's just like, here's a thing that happened a while ago. I mean, I bet now the town would be mostly a ghost town, or be at the very least like in the infamous murder town of America. But that remains to be seen, and we will see it. And I will say that like Halloween Kills, not a great movie, but a fun movie, very watchable. It probably has the worst case of middle movie syndrome I've ever seen, where it's clearly just filler until this one, but this one is that one. So I'm waiting to see what they do with it.
Yeah, I mean, they've already got my money. Like, that's not a debate at this point. And like, whether I like it or not matters very little.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have it in whatever collectible steel book edition they want to put it out in. But I think what Shudder has proven is that there are a lot of original ideas out there, and just imagine what would happen if they got studio money. Like, I love the Mortuary Collection, but you could see the budget restraints in some of the CG. If you would have given them a proper $10 million budget to make that movie, it would have elevated the things that kind of break it at the seams in a way that would have made it a classic. And so I think this investment in original IP can benefit, because we're living in an era where the people that grew up watching these movies are making movies, and that's going to appeal to a large swath of the millennial generation and even the Gen Z as well. But you know what? As you said, they got our money already, so they don't need to sell us. We are sold, bought, and paid for to see it.
I would say, in addition to Mortuary Collection, that could be also said about the Creepshow TV series for Shudder. Yeah. The heart is there, the talent's there, the money is not. And I'm sorry, but we need more money. Yeah. Because the Creepshow TV show needs more money to be what it wants to be, because it's kind of fallen short. Yep. Sorry. Sorry.
Nope. You're spot on. But the thing is, it's constructive because we want it to succeed. It just isn't right now. So anyway, that's Halloween Kills. And listen, like, I don't, we're not the kind of folks to shit on a film just to shit on a film. But we're excited. I'm glad they're making these movies, even if they suck.
Yeah.
So
they're for someone, even if they're not for us.
Amen. Amen. Well, I'll tell you what isn't for anybody: horror prequels. I'm just kidding.
I mean, you're not far off, but
yeah, I mean, we, as you so delightfully challenged in the previous monthly Macabre. I don't know why I said that backwards. Where we talked about what is our topic for this month. We set prequels, and we took a joke and made it real. And so we're going to go through our top 5 prequels, horror prequels. And I believe our parameters here are pretty loose, which is these are not necessarily good movies, per se. They're just movies we like in our top 5. And I've ranked mine. Have you ranked yours, or have you just kind of, these are just 5 I like?
No, I have ranked them. And I have to say, I'm against the idea of prequels in general. Yeah. I just, William Goldman said sequels are horrors movies. I think prequels are addicts movies. They're movies for people who just need that IP so badly that they'll watch a story even if they know how it ends. Because, that's the thing about prequels. There's not a lot of surprise there, because where it's going inherently. The only prequel that I really, really like is X-Men First Class, because you kind of forget that it's a prequel after a while.
Well, they're just younger. Like, it's just like it's an X-Men movie, but early X-Men and periodic versus, just another X-Men movie just to keep the IP at Fox.
Yeah. So if you're going to do a prequel, it doesn't mean it's going to be bad, but like the bar is set. And the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is nowhere near this list.
No, not even close.
Beginning, no, absolutely not. Fuck right off with that. Anyway,
are you sure, cousin? Are you sure you don't want to bring the beginning into this? I mean, I agree with you.
Because it's
that's right.
3D. You son of a. The original legacy sequel.
What I think I realized in making a list of prequels that I actually hadn't seen so many of them, and so I spent a lot of time watching a lot of them. And yeah, I know, and that's what has brought me to my opinion around how unnecessary they are. Because as you said, there is no surprise, but also it actually does more damage than it does. It does more damage to the brand than it does to the wallet. Like, it helps the studio, they make money. That's great. I totally get that this is a business. So again, art's great, but you got to make money. You got to turn a profit to make more of it. So, but on the same time, you can have your cake and eat it too when it comes to making a good movie that also makes money. So I think with prequels, it's just this yearning to try and explain something to make money. It's not even like I don't think the viewers even want it. It's that studios want to try and figure out, is there any more money in this sponge before we throw it out because it's full of shit. And that's kind of what I think. That's also why we see a lot of these reboots that are trying to divert their timeline, because they don't necessarily want to restart things, but they also want to tell it their way. And that has varying degrees of success. And this is not new or unique. It happens all the time for decades. So, and as they say, there's only 7 original story ideas. Everything's just a riff off of it. So anyway.
And I mean, it's the same with comic books. There's that famous quote, I think that Len Wein said, where he said, continuity ties your worst writer to your best writer. It's like when people come up with these new horror, fucking requels or whatever. When you consider like the legacy of horror films that you want to make a new installment of, you want to acknowledge the good ones or one good one and just forget about the rest, which works and doesn't work to varying degrees.
Yeah. And listen, you never want to bite a gift horse in the mouth. So or is it look a gift horse in the mouth? Yeah, that's what it is. Look a gift horse in the mouth.
Yeah.
Again, you can't. It's not complaining because of it there. It's complaining because it could have been, because of what it could have been. So what is your first, your number 5 on your list of top prequels?
Not a lot of regret in this one, I have to be honest. Puppet Master 3.
Same.
Which get out. It's number 5.
Same. Number 5.
It's arguably the best full moon film. I know they're known for really. I know they're known for being the direct to video, famous series.
They built that city.
Yeah, they did. It's like they got Paramount money, man, and they put it to good use. And it's puppets killing Nazis. Fuck yeah. It's and I honestly haven't seen it in a little while, but I have fond Memories of it. And it's the origin of Blade, one of the coolest puppets.
Coolest puppet.
Yeah. And it's just cool. Puppets versus Nazis. I
rewatched this because I did a Puppet Master. I watched the Puppet Master films in chronological order 2 years ago, because I got that full moon box set that they were giving away when you got a full moon subscription for a year. It was basically like you're buying the box set and you get the streaming service for free. So it was a great deal. But now I also own a bunch of movies I'll never see again, which explains about half of my collection anyway. But that's okay. It's a topic for another day. We don't have to talk about poor financial decisions. But
you can for Puppet Master 5. I like 4 and 5. They go together. I mean, I'm sure they were shot back to back in the same day. But they preview Puppet Master 4 at the end of Puppet Master 3.
So like I kind of like the subspecies movies where they just had that castle, like they filmed like Castle Freaks, all the subspecies movies in like a year or some shit. So like, and I tried listening to the commentary because I've seen 3 so many times, but unfortunately, Cocteau and the screenwriter are not that engaging of speakers. So like, no offense, but like it just wasn't. I would just get the regular audio back. It is the best Puppet Master film by a long shot, and it is the most coherent full moon film that, yeah, I'd say the most coherent. Like I love the subspecies movies. They're just guilty pleasures, but they are also somewhat coherent for at least the first 3. But the third Puppet Master movie just kicks ass. The only thing it's missing is Torch. It really, if Torch was in it, it would be the best Puppet Master. It'd be so far ahead of the others. But I do have a soft spot for the first one because of course it's the first one I saw. The second one, as silly and Italian as it is, it also kind of works. And the Littlest Reich, I think Craig Zahler is kind of a doofus.
It's fun.
It's fun. It's a damn fun movie, and it's got where it counts. So, yeah, Puppet Master 3. It's a solid flick. Even not if it's a prequel. Even I guess it's as a standalone, it's fine. But it happens to also be a prequel. So, and yeah, fuck the Nazis, right?
Yeah. Cool. So then I'll do my number 4. And real quick, honorable mention, it didn't make the list, but it easily could have been number 1, but I just wouldn't want to revisit it because it's just so sad, is Ouija, Origin of Evil by it's Mike Flanagan. Blumhouse came to him and asked him if he wanted to do a Ouija prequel, and I imagine his response was like, fuck no. Oh wait, I could do something with this. And he does, but it works kind of too well because it's really, really sad at the end. It's a bummer. But that is a good movie if you're going to watch a horror prequel. But it is not my number 4. My number 4 is absolutely dreadful, but so much fun. Though you might need a shower after it, and it's Amityville 2: The Possession.
Holy shit! No, I'm not kidding. That's my number 4. Yeah, I'm showing you my list right now. It's on
oh man, I think we have even more overlap. Yeah, it's
because there's not a lot of good horror prequels. There's just not that many.
Pickings are slim, man. It's very Italian and very gross. Not even in an effects way, but in like there's some straight up incest with capital.
I didn't know that was a narrative choice way. Like I didn't realize that was an option.
I didn't either. And apparently, like the Amityville horror case, like the original killings were based on a true story. And I didn't know that. I don't know if there's any incest involved in them, but God damn it, we're going to put some into this script, aren't we? It is a sleazy Italian family horror film with Burt Young from Rocky, Diane Franklin from Better Off Dead, and just man, it is something. Written by Tommy Lee Wallace, who I didn't
Halloween
pick him.
3,
Stephen King's It, like Carpenter collaborator, and I'm like, I don't know if it was like rewritten to be more perverted or if he's just getting some kinks out. I don't know, but man, this movie, I'm sad I found out about it after the Screen Factory box set went out of print.
Oh yeah,
I'll buy 3 fucking Amityville movies to have this one on my shelf.
and right over there. Yeah.
What does that commentary even say? Like, well, you have to remember she's my sister, but also I'm a demon and I want to have sex with her. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
So this movie, like I'd seen it before and I remember just how kind of absurd it gets. But what's wild about it is it has like 2 climaxes. And like once the first climax happens, you're like, oh, okay, is it over? And then you're like, holy shit, this goes on. And not only does it go on, it gets more intense than it was before, which again, there's a very intense midpoint that you're like, oh wow, this feels like the end of something, but it's only the beginning of all of this absurd religious horror. And I think why I like this one so much is because it is the sleaziest supernatural horror movie of all time next to Patrick Still Lives. And I actually was so inspired to look up the actual story of the DeFeo murder to see how much parody there is with how it's told. Surprisingly, quite a bit. The incest part is not, if that's a creative license, but there's also this component, kind of like the I forget the name of the people that lived in the Amityville house originally. Anyway, they were kind of found out to be a bit of a frauds when it comes to like the story of the house they were living in. Whether you believe that or not, that's up to you. That's your own opinion. But it turns out that Ronnie DeFeo, the guy who killed his whole family, was also a alcoholic and a drug addict. And so he's told this story multiple times in different ways. So unreliable narrators are a consistency across all the Amityville films, apparently. And it's actually shocking how much of that movie, if you take away the last act of the movie, almost all of that is pretty much exactly what happened in real life. So there is some like merit to that, which I found interesting, but then it goes totally off the rails after that in the third act, which again, it's great because of it, but it's also so off the rails that you're like, I know this is not, you've lost, like, I know I'm not in a movie. Like I know I'm in a movie now. My suspension of disbelief is gone, but I'm highly entertained.
Yes, it is highly entertaining. Yeah, that's the word. Let's go for that. I wonder how it'll stack up next to Amityville in Space or
Amityville Karen.
I was gonna say, I'm like, that's not a real. Yes, it is. Yes, it is a real.
Do you know why this is?
Because Amityville is set in Long Island, and it's kind of perfect for that.
No, it's Amityville is public domain. That's why anyone can make an Amityville movie.
Oh God, fucking of course. All right, you enjoy whoever it is out there who loves Amityville movies.
Amityville in the hood. Come on, it's coming. It's coming.
It's it's coming.
Yeah, Leprechaun did it. Leprechaun did it twice. So
Leprechaun went back to the hood.
Yes, imagine a friend with weed is a friend indeed, as he says.
That's right. That's right. So then my number 3, I guess, is the similarly named, but I don't know what else they would have called it, the 2011 The Thing.
All right, I'm going to stop you real quick. Is your number 2 Paranormal Activity 2 and your number 1 Hellraiser Bloodline?
No, I wouldn't even consider Hellraiser Bloodline a prequel.
All right, good. Mine isn't either.
A flag there. Okay. All right. Although I think Paranormal Activity 3 is more of a prequel. Well, they're both prequels. That's true. Anyway, yeah, no, it's 2011's The Thing, which pales in comparison to the Carpenter version, like every other horror movie does. But it seems to be made with care and thoughtfulness, with a screenplay by Eric Heiser, who wrote, Arrival and a bunch of other things. We're just going to ignore the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, as he does, I'm sure. But it's just a competent, well-considered horror film. And, my wife isn't a big horror fan, but she loves Carpenter's original or Carpenter's remake. And she can watch this and she likes it, but we acknowledge it's not the same, but it's fine. It's all the indignation of, you're going to make a prequel to John Carpenter's The Thing. What's wrong with you? Like, it's better than it deserves to be. And everyone's giving it their all. So yeah. And a paltry list of prequels, that was definitely, that's top of the heap.
I mean, The Thing's number 3 on mine as well. So what I actually think this movie got maligned unfairly out the gate because of how good John Carpenter's The Thing is. And this happens a lot with movies that like just get dragged because there's such a rabid fan base for another version of it in this case. But a lot of people there's probably a good chunk of the generation now who doesn't know that The Thing from Another Planet is the same thing. But yeah, this is actually good. Like even the CGI, which isn't great. Like I think their biggest flaw really was that they didn't trust their puppet, as Werner Herzog would say. Like you gotta, you should have, they should have, in the spirit of Carpenter's, tried to get someone to do what Bottin was doing, and I think that would have probably helped people receive it better. But even with the CGI and it being, clearly not as good as it is today, but still, it's not bad either. And the movie, and it captures the same spirit of the original, is the paranoia. It is somewhat, even though we did say this at the beginning, that like prequels aren't as surprising because you know where they're going. The ambiguity of how Carpenter started is actually a really good place to end a prequel. Like, so it is kind of interesting, even though it follows similar beats. The story does lend itself to that because it's even kind of set up in Carpenter's version. So it's not as if it's kind of being invented to invent. Like so many of these prequels were kind of created after the fact. Like, I don't believe George Lucas wrote the prequels all at the same time as the original trilogy, because he just doesn't. There's a lot of missing. There's a lot of gaps between knowledge. So like it's clear that didn't happen. But either way, don't rob a man of his vision, I guess. But yeah, the thing was, I think it's going to find an audience, and I think it continues to, because it has people coming to its defense now that the stigma of it being not Carpenter's thing has worn off some. And we can put our faith in Gen Z to totally upend the popular opinion just by sheer numbers of viewers and that are on Letterboxd now with their hot takes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
the hottest.
The spiciest.
Cool. So my number 2, I guess. My number 2 surprised even me, but it's Annabelle Creation. And I never even saw that first movie. And you know me, if you're going to have a movie centered around a killer doll, I want that doll getting up and stabbing people.
Yep.
Like, I don't want it. But with Annabelle, it's like there's a demon doll. Yeah. And it's like, what are we doing? But I actually like this. Like, you can watch it without knowing anything about the Annabelle character, and it's creepy. It's well done. Anthony LaPaglia and Miranda Otto are they're kind of okay. They do a good job, but maybe my biggest complaint with the script is that, or with the film in general, is that you have a demon trapped in your house that you regret like raising because it tricked you into raising it. Okay, that's a cool concept. Why are you turning your house into a foster home for children when there is a haunted doll in the house? What is wrong with you? Anyway, besides that, it's creepy, it's atmospheric. The desert at night is scary and pretty evocative. It's from David Sandberg, who did Lights Out and Shazam, which is the best DC comic book movie that no one's talking about because it tries so hard to be a Marvel movie, but it winds up becoming its own thing, and it's a lot of fun. So more from him. But Annabelle Creation, who knew?
I mean, I agree this is a much better movie than the rest of the Annabelle series. It's just I have problems with Annabelle for the same reason you mentioned. This doll's not that scary. Like, just because it shows up where it's supposed to be, like, okay, so what? Like, do something. Like, and I think the lack of, like, this one, if I remember correct, this one is R-rated. So I think this one is a bit more violent than the first one and the second one, which was kind of that, Babysitter's Club meet Annabelle story. So, like, but I this one didn't make my list because it's very forgettable, but maybe I need to go back and check it out again. But yeah, if you're going to have a killer doll in a movie, it needs to cut something, and I won't see it any other way. So my number 2 is Paranormal Activity 2.
Okay.
The shortest timeline prequel of all time, because I believe it ends where the first one picks up.
Big dovetail. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this one got me. Like, it's kind of fun when you get jump scared, nowadays. And this one definitely, like, the environment was right. I watched it at like 10:30. Wife went to bed, lights out, and I just had a good time with it. And I kind of forgot how fucked up it is. And there's just like, I don't love supernatural movies, but this one, I think I'm glad I revisited it. even though it is, again, prequel by the smallest of margins, technically a prequel. So, and I believe we talked about this in the Bloomhouse episode. So if I had to go back and redo my list, this actually might make it on there, simply because I do think it's a well-made movie, and it does. And in some ways, it's better than the first one, just because it puts the stakes up.
Yeah, I feel like it is better than the first one. Like, I didn't watch them too closely together, but like, I think that's a case that you could make. I mean, those first three are like really good, like really solid, kind of scary. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a fan, and I need to watch the third one now, because I don't think I ever really got beyond the second one initially. So
the third one, when they're little girls, and
okay.
it's in like the 80s. Yeah, it's like an 80s found footage movie with like Super 8. It's kind of cool.
I mean, I'm gonna space them out, because found footage is like probably my second to least favorite of the genres. So I'll space that one out, but that's okay. I got plenty of time to watch all the Paranormal Activities, and probably guilt by a box set. So
what's your least favorite of the genres, if I could ask? I don't know.
I think it's probably like any sort of like I'm just gonna call it edgelord horror, for lack of a better term, but like movies that are just obscene to be obscene. Like I would almost put The Sadness in that category, but like it's so well made that it's hard for me to like totally malign it. But like I do put like a lot of the like that was the movie, was it Headless or something like that? Like some of those like kind of shot on video, like just really just trying to do, here's the most fucked up thing we can film kind of thing. Like there's one I was just looking up like called Megan is Missing, which I have no interest in seeing, but like
it's very good, but it will stay with you forever, and you won't be able to shake it.
Yeah, and like that's not entertainment to me. So yeah, those kind of really highly exploitative, ultra taboo types of horror. I don't even know what you call that, like 8mm horror, whatever that is.
Okay. Actual snuff films. That's where we draw the line here.
Yeah.
So that was my number one.
Yeah, number one.
I thought about this because it is a huge spoiler, but really it was conceived as a prequel. It is a prequel. It doesn't cheat the prequel formula. Final Destination 5. It's one of the best films in the franchise. You don't know it's a prequel until the very end, but it is the film before the original Final Destination. And it's just got incredible kills. The characters are good enough that you're rooting for them, but they're not annoying. It's not great. You're not super invested in them, but it's not like Final Destination 4 where it's like you're just hairdos. Like that's what that movie is to me. But yeah, great kills, great twist ending, and just a great setup.
See, this didn't even show up on my radar when I was looking up horror prequels. Perhaps because, as you said, it happens at the end. But I need to go check this out. Never seen it. I am woefully deficit on like the aughts franchises.
Hope I didn't ruin it for you, because
because I'll forget it in like 2 days. So I probably won't even remember it after this conversation, because 60% of what we learn within an hour is forgotten. This is statistically proven. It's science. Our brains are pretty good at routines. They're pretty bad at remembering. So I am going to stir the pot with my big old finger and say Hellraiser Bloodlines my number one. And it is a prequel. It is the only prequel sequel in existence.
It's partially a prequel. And technically, through the rules of this that I just made up in my mind, you're only counting the prequel section of this against all other feature-length prequels that we have on this list.
Considering it's placed in the future, 2/3 of the movie occur in the past. So that's a prequel, even though it's present day in the way the movie's set. But listen, you can come at me in the YouTube comments, and I will take it with like a champ. But this is so much better than it has any right being, even though it's not great. It is like I know people don't like Hellraiser 3 for their reasons, but it's still a really entertaining horror movie, whether it's, you know, breaking the rules that people made up along the way anyway. Like there is this happens, these are broken in this one again, and it is almost too big for its own britches, but at the same
Oh,
time,
way
it actually
for its own goodness, but that's fine.
but
And
it
I like
actually it pulls it off. Like
yeah.
it takes itself seriously in how audacious it is. And that I have respect for, is that somebody like greenlit took this idea and didn't try and make a spoof out of it. I still don't buy a lot of the stuff, like again, the story's stupid, but the stuff that happens in between is actually really entertaining. And and it's a good thing the story is very second fiddle to just setting up these kill sequences. It definitely balances the right amount of Pinhead versus the rest of like kind of anything else. Love the Angelique character. I think that some of these like kills, like when he makes the twins, like there's a quote, my favorite horror movie line of all time is in this movie. And when he has that pain, you know, monologue about you don't, how dare you use that word. Yeah, like, it's just, it's great. And I think Pinhead is the most Shakespearean horror villain out there in his way of delivering these kind of grossly depressing and brutally worded epitaphs to these people that are about to die. But it works. It's silly, but it's also so well done. And I've seen the work print. I have a work print copy of the other version. And you know what? If you put those two movies together,
you get a good movie.
You get a really kick-ass movie, but that'll never happen, and that's okay.
It's almost like Weinstein proof, you know, because I know they messed with it, like with Curse of Michael Myers, but the idea behind it is so good that it's like it's set up to work. Like it's at the very least very interesting. And like, you know, what other prequel, sequel, anthology horror movies are there really that combine all of that? It's kind of in a league of its own. And it's fun. It's like the last gasp of early 90s horror before Scream came in. It's like, you know, it's like the last call, which I feel like no one really talks about that timeline of horror, of like pre-Scream 90s horror movies where like everything's set in like a sunny small town, and there's like incredible gore and weird set pieces, and you know, like Warlock the Armageddon, or you know, Uncle Sam. Like that's just what it reminds me of. But
Dolly
even though
Dearest.
yeah, exactly. You know, Lawnmower Man, like all that crazy shit. But yeah, like Hellraiser Bloodline, worth some consideration. As crazy as it is.
I mean, there's very few horror movies that can take their franchise to space and not make a mockery of it. I mean, even Jason X had to lean into the absurdity of the premise so that so the movie's enjoyable. Because if that movie took itself seriously, it would be awful.
Be a death march. Yeah.
But the fact that the thing is, Hellraiser has never veered into territory of parody the way Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th. Halloween avoided it, but it also kind of makes fun of itself because of how seriously it tries to take its silliness. So like, you know, the whole Thorin line, again, I appreciate the swings they took. They just didn't hit anything. But Hellraiser Bloodline is always going to have a soft spot for me. I love the Hellraiser franchise up into Bloodline. And it's the last movie that made it into theaters. I remember going to the theater and seeing Bloodline because I was like, I can't believe I'm going to see a Hellraiser movie in a theater. And Kevin Yeager did a lot of those effects. He directed this. I mean, well, there's two directors, but Kevin Yeager, you know, there's merit to having special effects folks direct movies. And I will just say that by ending with, you know, Greg Nicotero has done a pretty good job with the Creepshow stuff and Walking Dead. And Tom Savini's Night of the Living Dead is, again, another movie that gets unfairly maligned because of how well regarded the original is. It's actually really good. It's just not like, it's not going to change. It's not changing the genre, but you know what? It's competent. It's got great visual effects. It maintains the spirit of the original, and it's just an updated version. You know, like people don't want to love what's tasty and delicious. They got to make fun of it first. So Tom Savini gets his flowers for that one.
Mm. Yeah, it's
I'll
solid.
die on that hill. I'll die on it, bury me and put a gravestone on it. But yeah, prequels.
Goodbye forever prequels.
Yeah, I don't recommend this exercise to anybody. Like this was tough.
Yeah, this was a little sweaty. Not gonna lie. Let's have some fun next time.
Yeah. What is next month? September? August? Shit.
We'll
Is it
come
the
up with
eighth?
something.
Yeah, we can just do number 8s in a series, which that would be that's the next step beyond that is only doing reboots that have less than 10 tomatoes. So or 10 splats, whatever they do their rating system on.
I would love it if Rotten Tomatoes stopped being a thing in my lifetime. That would be great.
Yeah.
You know, I just need Metacritic, you know, find out what people are saying online, but I don't need Rotten Tomatoes. That's me, my old man opinion.
Nope. Yeah. Get rid of it. Do away with it.
Yeah.
It's unneeded in this world's distraction. But anyway, we're not here to take down the internet. We are here to tell you not to watch prequels if you can avoid it. But yeah, we are going to figure out what's up next for next month. And, you know, for now, stay safe, have fun, and watch horror movies.